Alright, hello once again, this is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD1111 class for the fall 2020 semester, I've been going over a series of video presentations which correspond to the lessons or chapters in our textbook, which is Get Programming with Node.js by Jonathan Wexler, a Manning publication. And so far I've gone through just Lesson 0. We're in Unit 0, and Unit 0 consists of Lesson 0, Lesson 1, and Lesson 2. So let's go on, and as you can see in here, we're going to install the tools we need to start working with Node.js. Alright, it says you need to install a version that's compatible with JavaScript ES6. I'm not going to install their text editor. I've already got Visual Studio Code. And we'll also go through a very simple example of using the command line terminal in Node.js in a sandbox or a kind of a play type environment known as Repple. We'll talk about that in just a bit. So we'll go into installing Node.js. Again, I'm not going to go through installing the text editor, but I will go back just in case you removed it and remind you where Visual Studio Code is. Setting up source control management, again, we've already put in Git, so I'm not going to do that either. Finally, we will go through the working with Node.js REPL in a terminal. Now, I did want to mention, if you look here, Node.js is gone. If you look in here, I have, under my ends, I have just Notepad. Alright, the reason it took so long before is that it asked me for permission to go and remove the file, and I hadn't done so. After I did that, it just took a matter of seconds. Alright, but I am going to go through here, and I'm just going to go in, and on the internet here, I'm going to type in Node.js download. And what will come up right away is download Node.js under nodejs.org. Okay, and that's what we want. So I'm going to go and click the download link there, and this is what we get. Now, I recommend that when you do this, you choose the window installer that's right here. I believe that it's set up to automatically install on the 64-bit. Okay, I think it's already set up to do that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So I'm just going to click right there. It's going to bring it down here, and I'm going to right mouse click on it and say open when done. It's not real big. I think I told you before it's like 59.8 meg, so it shouldn't take real long. But typically on your machine, if yours is like mine, when it starts to run, it'll come up, the computer will ding a little, and it's going to ask you permission to go and make a change in your software. Alright, so it says that it's opening it up now. I'm hoping it does. Not really a whole lot on here, So it's growing in popularity and support. New versions are available frequently. That's 11. Ours is going to be 12 point something. I don't remember exactly what it was. So here it is. Okay, saying we want to be able to run that file. Click Run, and welcome to the Node.js setup wizard. I'm going to click Next. And it says, it's got all the typical stuff that you'd want to read in here. You have to accept, of course, before you can go on. If you don't, the next button is grayed out. So I'm going to accept and click Next. It says, where do you want to load it? I would recommend, unless you have a really overriding reason not to just take the default, which for me is under Program Files. So it'll make a Node.js folder. Again, you can change it if you need to. Hopefully you don't need to or want to. Click Next again. This says basically what do you want it to have. We want the Node.js runtime rather. We want the Node Package Manager. We want the online documentation shortcuts, and we want it to add to the path. Alright, it says it requires 29 or 28 meg on your hard drive. Okay, and I'm going to click next again. Now, it says here, some need to be compiled from C, C++. If you want to install such modules, some tools need to be installed. Automatically install the necessary tools. Well, notice by default it's not set. I'm just going to keep all of the defaults. So I'm going to click next again. And then it says click install to begin the installation process. From what I remember last time, this was very quick. I don't know, it's even, it's going on a minute, I guess, so I don't consider that to be very long to install software. I'm just walking you through the steps that are shown in your book on the first 3 pages of Lesson 1, those being 12, 13, and 14. It says we're done, click finish. And I'm going to come over here, and what you should now notice over here is I now have, might have to refresh here. And come on. There's Node.js. Okay, again, 57.9 meg just installed. Okay, I think I can close this now. And one thing that we can do, just so you know now, is I can come out here, and if I want to, I can come out here, and on here I can right mouse click, and I can choose Git Bash here. I already showed you that. For what we're doing at the beginning of the book here, we can also just come in here into our box right here, type in CMD, which gives me a command prompt, and we can do it from here too. That's totally fine. All right. I'm going to just change to my desktop, and I'm going to type in Node -V, and that says show me the version of Node that I currently have running. And it says I'm running 12.16.3. Now in older books you'll see type in Node -- version, which also works. When we downloaded Node, we also got what's called the Node Package Manager, or NPM. So I can type in NPM -V, and it shows us 6.14.4. And again, I can also type in NPM -- version, and I'll get the same thing. Okay. All right, when you're running in here, CLS will clear your screen. All right. It says you've got a couple of ways to download it. You can read that stuff on your own, but I just clicked right here, as you saw. There is a Node version manager that if you want to go and download multiple versions, this would probably be something that you'd be doing if you were a more experienced Node developer. And what I mean is, what you may or may not have noticed when I went out here is you got, okay, we did LTS, which is the recommended for most users, but there's also the current, which means it's got new features and functionality that the LTS does not have. All right, so if we clicked over there, we would have gotten different stuff. We would have downloaded that, we would have gotten a different version than the one that we loaded. Okay, I'm not going to go through that, but just so you're aware of that. And if you want to do that, they show you how to do this using Unix commands. And it says NVM, this Node Version Manager, doesn't support Windows. So if you want to do that, you're going to have to go and read this. And again, I'm not going to I'm not going to take a look at that. Okay. As mentioned, and I already said this to you, when you install Node.js, you also get NPM. This is the Node package manager. This is what they call the ecosystem, which contains all of the external libraries that you will, that you'll have access to. And we're going to get into that more in the next unit. Alright, we did all this. We already double-clicked. We did all this. You hopefully saw that stuff as it went through. Now, again, when they talk about terminal, and this is page 15 of the of your chapter, they talk about working, and they talk about let's see. It says you'll be working mostly at your computer's terminal. Alright, the book teaches you Unix terminal bash commands. Right. Most of those commands should work under git bash that we can run again, alright, that you've seen. But for the beginning, the stuff that we need, it's not really that big a thing. Alright. One of the things that we allowed the system to do was we allowed the system to make changes to our path variable. You may or may not have ever done this, but I'm just going to type in the word path and hit enter. Now this is butt ugly. Alright. But the point is, if I look through here, and I don't know where it would be, but in here someplace now should be, alright, should be C:\program files /node.js. And the reason that that's important is path, when you go in and you try to run software, the first thing basically that the operating system is going to do, when you put a command in, if it doesn't understand it, it's going to start looking through your path to see if there's something in your path that will explain, for lack of better words, what it is you're trying to do. All right, I'm looking through here quickly, and I don't see it, but I know it's in here someplace. All right, let's exit. Not exit. Let's just clear that. And maybe it'd be maybe a good thing to just start using git bash. I haven't been using it really, but we can come in here and start making it a little bigger. So as we start running things, you'll be able to see it. Make my screen there a little bigger. Now you should be able to see that without any problem, hopefully. All right. So they talk about path, and if you want to know more about it, more than I just gave you, they give you a link here under tutorials point about setting up a path variable and why it's used, how it's used, etc. So if you want to take a look at that, of course, feel free to. All right. We did the node -v, we did the npm -v, and the author mentions if you try doing that, you get an error message. It's possible that your installation didn't work. And let me tell you, the first time I tried to install Node was last summer, and it worked just fine, no problem. When I tried again, I removed it, and I tried to reinstall it a few weeks ago. It gave me an error the first time. So I just did a reinstall, and it worked just fine. That's pretty much what they're saying right there. And as the author says, if you ever forget where Node is installed or where npm is installed, from your command line here, you can type in Windows, where Node, and there it is, and where npm, and there that is. And you'll notice they are both in the program files Node.js folder, node.exe, npm, and npm.cmd. Alright, next they go through here installing a text editor. The author recommends Atom, which is fine if you want to use that. You can follow these steps. But what I like, using Visual Studio Code, which we're going to use, and I'll bring that up here. Visual Studio Code, like Atom, but Visual Studio Code to me is easy to use, easier to use, and when you start going over here and you bring this stuff out, as far as what's here, if you click this gear down here, alright, there you can click on extensions. I think it might be here too, I don't remember. But there's all sorts of extensions that are in here. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to type in Node. Notice node debug, search node, node.exe, etc. So there's a bunch of stuff set up in here for you. Alright, enough of that. So I'm just going to skip that, and I'm going to move on to section 1.3 on page 17, setting up source control management. And again, we should be able to skip this because by now you should have Git on your system. We're not talking GitHub here, for now at least. We're talking Git. Alright. This was kind of nice, as it says, for a useful sheet of Git commands. I'm going to right mouse click here and choose that. I'm going to get my 404s today, but I do have that. If I remember it, I'll try to download that for you so that you can see it. Alright. Let's see. The author also recommends that you go and download Heroku. And Heroku, as it says, it's a service. It's something that we're going to use to host our applications online. I'm not going to do that right now because I plan on doing that with you as a class. I have never downloaded Heroku, but I'm going to do it with you, and I'm going to do it with you as a class. And hopefully that'll be helpful. Okay? But I'm just going to jump down. This is, where is it? For Windows, it says you can find the installer there. Alright. Okay. So, for the last part of the chapter on pages 19, 20, and 21, they start having us work with Node.js using Repple. Repple is an acronym. As you can see here, it stands for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. And it's a node shell, so it's something that you can use to enter in different JavaScript commands. You can take a JavaScript file and you can run it through Node. There's a lot of things that you can do with it. The author says the shell is a space where you can write pure JavaScript and evaluate your code in a terminal window in real time, meaning right away. So, it says we've already used this to check whether or not Node was installed, but there's other things that you can do too. Alright, for instance, I can come in here, and I do want you to see this because I can do the node -v from right here, and I can do the npm -v from right here. Before I did it from just the pure command line. Now I don't remember on here if it's CLS or CLR to clear. I think it's CLR. Oh, CLS? No. I think maybe that's just clear. There we go. Okay. So we can come in here and just type in Node and hit enter. And look, we're inside of Node. So as an example, we could do something like this. I could type in here, let first name equal Jeff. Alright, console.log first name. Now normally when we run this and we hit enter, if we had the console log open in here, we'd be able to see Jeff, but it shows it right here. See that? Alright, now is that big a thing? Of course not. But I'm just showing you different things that can be done in here. Alright? And to get out of this, you can either you can type exit, or you can do Control-C. And you have to do it again, and you're out. The other thing you can do is you can type in Node, and you can do a Control-D, and that gets you out right away. Or from Node, you can type in the word exit, and that gets you out right away. Oh, I thought it did. It says to exit the prompt, type exit. But doesn't like that. So we'll do either Control-C twice or Control-D. Okay? Alright. In Appendix A, and we're going to go through this, All right. This is a really good appendix. We'll have hit some of this stuff by this time in class anyway, but this is really well written as far as some of the things that have been introduced in ES6. Okay. I guess I'll have to go back. Boy, I wish I wouldn't have done that, I guess, but that's okay. There we are. As it says, you can get to Repple by entering the node keyword into your terminal without any text. That's what we saw. You can also type in node followed by the name of a JavaScript file to have that JavaScript file run. Okay. Alright. Now here's an example what they have here. And I want you to see this. Don't go and copy all of this in, or you're going to have a problem. If you go into node, you're going to get the prompt, which is the greater than sign. If you type in 3 plus 3, you should get 6. If you type in 3 divided by 0, you should get infinity. If you do a console log, hello universe, you should get hello universe. Here we're creating a new variable called name, and when we console.log it, we get John Wexler. Here we're creating a JavaScript class called goat, and it has in here a method called eat, and we pass in a food type. And you say, I love eating that food type. So here we instantiate or create a new instance of a goat called Billy. Billy.eat tin cans, and that's going to print out, I love eating tin cans. So you can try that on your own if you want. No big thing one way or the other. All right. Then finally, and maybe we'll go through that in class, in the Repple environment you have access to all the core modules that come within Node.js. These core modules, as it says, will be discussed more in the next unit. Okay. Some of the commands that you can use, I guess it was .exit. We try that. Let's try to get into Node. And let's put in some of the stuff they had in there. So they had 3 plus 3, and we get 6. They had 3 divided by 0, divided by 0, and it gave us infinity. What else did they have in here? Let's be consistent here. What they had console.log hello universe. I think that's his little joke because typically it's a hello world. So there's that. We've got let name equal John Wexler. You can put your own name in there, doesn't matter, of course. And let's see, so console.log name, and you can see we get John Wexler. Okay, and then finally let's put in this class that's here. So class goat greater than sign. Oh, I spelled class wrong. All right, class goat. Okay, eat food type, console.log backtick. Here we're using the object literals. I love eating. So since it's a literal, $, and then in curlies, food type. So that food type that you see right there, that is the food type that will be passed in right here. Okay, so let's see, end our curly here, end our curly here, and now we can say let Billy equal new goat, Billy eat tin cans. And if we did this right, when I put this in, it should say, I love eating tin cans. And it does. So we tried exit before and it didn't work. Let's try .exit. And we're out. Real good. So we've gone through quickly all of that stuff that you saw in there. Okay. Some of the other commands, I'm not going to read through these. Alright. But notice you can break out. We'll look at load very soon. We'll look at save, and an important thing with save is if you've already got a file and then you do a .save, it'll overwrite what was there originally. Let's try quickly the .help to see what's available to us here. So node.help. And it says can't find module help. Maybe it's just help. So let's try node.help. There it is. It's pretty much the same thing that you just saw there. Alright. So we know now we can do a Control D to get out of here. And finally then, to summarize, as the author says here, in this lesson we didn't install Atom because we already had Visual Studio Code installed. We did install Node.js. We verified that we had a current version with a node -v, I should say. We did the same thing with the Node Package Manager with the npm -v. Finally, we got into a Node session and we put in a little bit of our own JavaScript code. Alright, the next chapter, as it says, we learn how to use Node.js and Terminal to build and launch an actual application. I'll be back to do that with you shortly.